Hi everyone, welcome back to Barbie Bakes. Today I'm going to be making meatloaf. You know, I had asked that anyone wanted me to make a special recipe that I would try to do it. Well, my niece Kim asked for this one. So today I'm going to be starting with 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm going to cut up some onions and some bell peppers, a half of a green bell pepper and a half of a red. So now we're going to add that to the meat, 2 pounds of ground chuck. I like 80-20 where there's not a lot of grease to it. Okay, now next I'm going to do a little sea salt, just a little bit of salt. I'd say probably a teaspoon of the salt. And then I'm going to take about a teaspoon and a half of parsley. Now you can use fresh parsley or you can use the dry. I didn't have any fresh, so today I'm using the dry. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of oregano. You know, some people put tomato paste or ketchup inside their meatloaf. Now I don't put it inside my meatloaf because I don't like the red look that it has after it's done. So now I have peppers and onions and a few of the spices in there. I'm going to put in a little bit of brown pepper. And then I'm going to add an egg. See, the reason some people put the tomato paste in there, you have to, when you put your breadcrumbs or whatever you use, it's to make the breadcrumbs stick to it. But I'm going to use milk instead of the tomato paste. So now I'm going to put in some breadcrumbs. Now I use the panko breadcrumbs. It's the Japanese style. That's my favorite. I'm going to mix that up a little bit. Now to begin with, I'm going to add about a half a cup of milk. I'm trying to mix this up a little bit, but in a minute I'm going to have my hands in it because you've got to really get it all worked in real good. So a few more breadcrumbs. I'd say you're probably going to use about a cup of breadcrumbs altogether for 2 pounds of ground beef. Okay. The rest of the milk. All right, here comes the fun part. Put on my gloves here. My hands are clean, but I think it's just better to use the gloves. Okay. Because, you know, I got that egg in there. I got milk. I got my salt and pepper. A little bit of oregano. Bell peppers. And you just want to make sure that that's all mixed up really, really good. So you can see how everything's in there real good. And see how it's pretty moist, and that's what you want to do because so it sticks together. Okay, I think that's mixed up pretty good. So then I'm going to put it in my pan. You know, I use this glass loaf. You can use a metal one. You can use a regular casserole dish. Once I get this in here, I'm going to pack it down real well. Alrighty. Okay, now I'm gonna make sure I pack this real well here. There's my doggy. He's always in here when I'm cooking because he thinks he's gonna get something. Of course, he always picks everything up that I drop on the floor. That's Casper, and there's Maggie, my two little sidekicks. Okay. On top of the meatloaf, we're going to put some tomato paste. Now, my favorite is in this tube. And I like this because, you know, I can open it. I can use whatever I want and then put it in the refrigerator. Versus I feel like if I use a can of tomato paste, I have to use it all or it goes to waste. So I'm just going to put some right on here. Going to squirt that around. You know, it's turned pretty cold here yesterday, and then tonight it's going to be the first night it's going to be down below freezing, so this will be some good comfort food today. So I'm just going to spread, just a light coating over the top of it to give it some flavor when it's cooking. Now this is a pretty thick meatloaf, so I'm going to put it in the oven at 425. I'm going to check it after 45 minutes because this will probably take about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So I'm going to put it in the oven, so here we go. Our meatloaf is finished. I'm going to get it out of the oven. I cooked it. It ended up being about an hour. So it was an hour on 425 degrees. So take the meatloaf out. Looks yummy. See how that tomato paste browned up there. So I'm going to get it out of the pan. Hopefully I can get this out now. Put it on my plate. The good thing about making the meatloaf tonight, it was dinner. So I'm going to show you what I'm serving with it. So I'll cut some up to here. See the onions and the peppers. So I've got meatloaf. I made some kind of like grilled carrots. I cut them up and sauteed them in the iron skillet with butter. Made some corn. Got some mashed potatoes. Now you can put a little gravy on your meatloaf if you like that, and a little on your mashed potatoes. Okay, here's what Barbie's having for dinner. My meatloaf, which is for you, Kim, with sauteed carrots and butter, some corn, and mashed potatoes with gravy. Okay, dinner's done. Wine's almost. Have a good evening. See you next time. Tear my damn apron up, dog. I'm trying to rip my apron off of me.